gets exploded. Hook there on the Juju's been threshed. Cannot defend her. I cannot believe.
It's gotta be the game.
I can let it
Mickey Well gets in behind him, trying to turn it in radius. Wave onto everyone. Triple kill for Radier and Mickey Well, last man standing. It's a slugfest. Double kill, triple kill, double kill, quadra kill, double kill, triple kill. My God, that was amazing.
Hook side, Big Swift has gone mega, but they killed us apart. Can't connect the chain, and Destiny, Hook is on. Swiffer is dead, Ray locks down Raze. Trippies gets that kill, and Spurs is stuck between the entire Wolfpack. Double kill for Fantix, they're running towards the Nexus.
Hello OPL fans and welcome back. It's week 6, day 2, Super Week 4, the Headspace Round, of course, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. Getting a look at Order as well as Avant right now in their players' room, Piermont, Sydney live. Big day of OPL action coming your way. Hello, Jake Spawn Tiberi, joined by Bryce, Egan Paul as usual. How was your night last night?
Yeah, wasn't too impactful, honestly. I just went home, kind of conked out, just slept a little bit. Just chilling.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, at the same time, it was a pretty short day.
Yeah.
Not all that much League of Legends action. Everything was done in 4 games. Pretty decisive victories by the teams.
Yeah, I mean, pretty decisive. You say that Order looked a bit shaky against Sin here and there, but overall they did finish with a double 2-0. So, yeah, short night overall, but yeah.
It certainly was. Let's check in with the schedule. It was, of course, going to be the Chiefs Esports Club picking up that 2-0 victory over Tectonic. Then Order took to Summoner's Rift. And even though Game 2 was on the rocks and Game 1 looked a little bit shaky early game, they did manage to squeeze out a 2-0 and all the 3 points. Today, it's going to be Avant Gaming taking on Order, who are in the back-to-back doubleheader before Legacy take on the Direwolves. Tomorrow, of course, at 2 p.m, it's going to be Sin Gaming taking on the Chiefs Esports Club before Bombers take on Tectonic. I mean, we've got a lot of OPL action this weekend for Headspace Round. It's a pretty good cause to be a part of, and we've seen a couple of good matches so far. I mean, today, 2 big head-to-head will have a lot of impact on how the rest of the season shakes out.
Yeah, I feel like today, if any day of the weekend, we're going to get like a double 3 game series. I feel like there's potential that that's could be the day. You see AV taking on Order. They've both looked good. I mean, AV, they seem to be the kryptonite for Legacy, but haven't fared as well against Chiefs. So you're kind of seeing where they stack up with another team at the top of the ladder in Order.
Yeah, it certainly will be an interesting one. However, to get more thoughts on today's games, let's throw it over to Laura, who's alongside with Juves.
Thank you very much, guys. Today I'm joined by the king of Sin Gaming, Juves. Welcome to the couch.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It's a different setting from what I'm used to, but it's comfortable.
Well, it's great to have you. Later on today, we will be running our Ask a Juve segment as usual. So if you have any questions for the man that outsmited Levi, send them over to us on Facebook or Twitter using the hashtag like no other. And if your question is picked, you could walk away with a mystery skin. But Juves, we have 2 very spicy series on our hands today. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
I think I'm looking to the television wars the most, which is Samsung versus Life's Good, similar to the Korean telecom wars.
Yes.
I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. But even so, Order AV is going to be interesting as well. I think it might be a 3-game series.
Yeah, Order AV definitely is the first series of the day. Even though Avant were able to take a win against Legacy early last week, I think they'll be looking to bounce back after a 0-2 loss to the Chiefs. On the other side of the field, though, Order coming off what was a bit of a sloppy win against you guys yesterday. Tally said in their interview that they're going to need to play a lot better today to be able to take down Avant. But Juves, I'd love to get your thoughts and your prediction on this series.
I think Order, just roll for roll at the moment, are probably better than AV. In saying that it's obviously a team game. It comes down to which team plays the best. But I think Order have that too. So I'm looking... Look, I'm going to say 2-0, but I want a 2-1 because I want to see some good league.
I'm on the same page as you. I want a 2-1, but I'm going to give it a 2-0 to Order. But guys, since this is our Headspace Round, don't forget that there will be a live chat with League of Legends players next week on Tuesday, the 27th of February between 7 and 8 p.m. over on eHeadspace. For more information on that live chat, you can head over to headspace.org.au/League of Legends. But to get into our very first series, let's hand it back over to Jake and Bryce.
Thanks so much. I think that, you know, 2 good games. If you've got to pick one, Bryce, which one's going to all 3 games and why?
I think probably the first one. AV have kind of shown that they are now the upset team in the league. Sin were it last season, but I think that they've kind of taken the mountain here. We've seen it multiple times against Legacy. Can they do it to Order?
I have to definitely see. That's going to be some helpful hints and tips towards the tipping competition. Of course, you guys can have your say as well. OPLtips.com.au is where you go. Put in your vote for who you think's going to win. You can win some sick prizes like Hungry Cats vouchers, as well as XP boosts and RP gifts cards. Buy yourself a couple of skins. Desert Storm Garen, my skin of the day.
Yep. As long as it's not Commando, I'm fine with it. Not a fan of the sunglasses. Not a fan of the green like army armor.
Yeah. I like Commando. I play a little bit of Garen every now and again. Commando, probably my least used skin, but it's still all right.
That's a wise choice. I agree with that. Not to mention XP boost. You kind of think about that's for like level on accounts nowadays. In 2018, the level, obviously it's uncapped. We saw in the off-season, I feel like Aframo was one of the first players to actually hit rank level 100.
Yeah.
And I was like, kind of looking at him like, man, that guy's played so many games. Like, that's so impressive. And then I realized he just bought XP boosts. He was cheating the system. What is that?
Yeah, a little bit underhanded play there from Afamu. However, for game number 1 is going to be Avant Gaming taking on Order. So we bring the head-to-head graphic up onto your screen. This is the first real test for Order since they played Direwolves a couple of weeks ago and fell down 2-1. AV is a safe team. How do you think that stylistically these teams will match up?
I feel like it's going to be pretty interesting. They do rely on their bottom lane a lot. I feel like Blinky and Jake have been 2 of the players that have stepped up the most. Specifically for me, I know you favour Blinky, but I feel like Jake, kind of, when I was a player, I always considered him, man, like he's a good player, but he's just not that proactive. But I feel like you saw in the Legacy series, Mimic is just ulting the lane. And on the other side of the map, Jake's playing Braum, but he was the one to actually step up with their engages, only not really known to be like an engage-heavy jungler. Plays things like the Nidalee and stuff like that. So I feel like he stepped it up, but it will be rough going into today against Order's bottom lane. FBI and Rogue, saw them yesterday, had some decent performances, and just throughout the league, they've been kind of trying to make their claim for number 1, but I feel like King and Cupcake kind of have the mantle right now.
Yeah, I think King and Cupcake, after a very good performance versus Order, would certainly feel that they're the best duo lane. I think Raze and Destiny would like a crack at a couple of the bottom lanes as well to try and make their claim. However, I think that you're right. Jake and Blinky are this duo lane that we kind of said are the benchmark. However, stats-wise, Blinky is up there with the best in the league. His damage per minute is absolutely insane at the moment. His champion pool, I feel, is diversified. I always thought Jake was a good support player. However, Blinky now becoming more consistent is helping out that duo lane.
I do have to know, I always thought he was good. I always thought he was good. He just, I'm obviously like a big Thresh main, and when I was a player, he just was never proactive. I feel like he's kind of like the guy that will follow the other support around the map, and he'll counter gank you all the time, but he won't be the proactive one, and that's where the big step up has been for me in his 2018 season. Yeah,
let's see if he can continue that trend. Going to have to be able to go toe-to-toe with FBI and Rogue, the most proactive lane for me. Pre-15 minutes, they're very bloody. We saw again another all-in in the bottom lane out of Order, and did it go pretty again?
Yeah, 10 minutes just was not the number there. Tarek ulti coming up clutch for Sin.
Yeah, it certainly did. Another player we must talk about, I feel, going into this matchup is going to be Tally versus Parbu. 2 young gun top laners. Tally's been around for a little bit longer than Parbu. This is the thing. I'm very high on Tally. Yeah. Obviously, he is my top laner. However, I feel like he is a player that is slept on a lot. We've had this argument a couple of times backstage. Give me your thoughts.
Like, you're like the stats guy, man. Like, he's doing the most damage. I feel like Gangplank, which he's played a fair amount on, I just don't think that's impressive.
Chippies has had more Gangplank games.
Yes, but every time somebody gets Gangplank and it's like counter pick, like we've seen the Vlad, we've seen the Lucian, things like that into it, the Gangplank always wins. So I'm like, you can write those ones off. He hasn't impressed me. I think Tally's been very good. Last year, he had like a bit of a rough season, I think, for the most part. But this year, I guess Auto didn't Korean boot camp, so they were coming into it a bit worse for wear than the other top laners, but I feel like yesterday he really stepped it up. That Camille game, we mentioned the bot lane 5v5 versus Sin that went like completely catastrophic for Order. He like single-handedly got them back in the game. He was sitting behind the bot lane of Sin there on the Camille, getting flanks and kind of Swiffer's taunts with the name of the game, but it was the Camille that was actually getting him into the back line.
Yeah, it certainly was. Galio kind of needs that first person to go in before he can follow up, and all of a sudden that was a full AD Camille. Absolutely whooping bums with the blades on her legs. However, let's get into the lineups. It's going to be Avant Gaming starting on the blue side. Parbu is their top laner, Only is their jungler. Frey will be their mid laner, and Blinky and Jake make up the 2 halves of the Bash Bros, most physically intimidating bottom lane in the league.
Yeah, agree.
Charlie Wraith is their coach. See what they have in store for us today. Of course, they're going up against Order. Tally is their top laner, Spooks and Swiffer. The Spooks and Swiffer duo lane in the mid. It's going to be FBI as their AD carry and Rogue as their support, of course. Bland Z. Choo-choos is going to be their coach for the second time in a row. One of your ex-teammates. What do you thought of his draft?
I mean, it's very hard to say. We've only had a sample size of 2 games, and not to mention...
100% win rate, by the way.
Yes, he has, but I think drafts are more about the team. Well, that's it. Like a lot of people think of coaching in League of Legends and like, oh man, like he messed that draft up. Like it's Path's fault. The TSM lost at Worlds, things like that. But it's not really how it works. You don't know the ins and outs of players' champion pools, and obviously as a coach, you can definitely struggle with that. If your mid laner doesn't play Zoe, then that can just, especially in a meta like the one we're in now, that can completely throw you off.
Yeah, it certainly can, and I think that we actually have one of those mid laners today. Frey, Galio, and Rise only.
Yep,
a little bit of Orianna, but not much else at the moment. See whether he... There it is. Blue side Zoe ban.
Yep.
Very topical, Bryce. I like that. Very topical.
They just fed right into the narrative, Jake. Thank you, Avant, here for banning that one away. But we do have to talk about the mid lane so far. Swift had a rough couple of weeks, but then yesterday had a really good performance. And I feel like Frey
did not die yesterday. Yeah. And game 1 had 100% KP.
He was popping.
That's huge.
Absolutely popping off. But then we look at the other side, and it is Frey. He's a player that I feel like AV haven't relied on him at all, and he hasn't really stepped up for the most part. He hasn't done a whole lot. In his first couple of weeks, played the Galio and was kind of secondary to the fights in the top lane to get Pabu his leads, but wasn't even necessary, I feel like, for the most part. That was the Pabu and only show, and I feel like he's kind of just been an even or negative laner for the most part.
Yeah, certainly agree with you. Triple mid lane ban.
Yeah.
At Order's captain Swiffer in the mid lane. It's going to be Rise as well as Callista and Gangplank taken away by Order. Of course, Gangplank, as we mentioned, is very strong. And a first pick, Skarner.
Yeah. So, no jungle bans, and they do just take away the Scorpion there, but they obviously have something in store. Yeah, Ali Ezreal, Zyra Khan, all of these things are open.
I think they have favoured Alistair Ezreal a little bit. Actually hovering up Braum right now, which we haven't seen for a little while out of Order. I think that they're one of the teams that has nearly 100% ban rate on Ornn.
But, I mean, all honesty,
Braum.
But the big thing is, in terms of Ali, I feel like into Skarner is actually like not too useful. I feel like a Skarner has the choice. If you get a headbutt the Skarner away, he can just ulti you during that duration, and he'll just like lock you up, and then you obviously have your ulti, but then that's gone. I mean, like it's decent, but I feel like Braum can kite the Skarner a lot better, and in terms of that's all you've seen from Avant's composition so far, so kind of makes a lot of sense. Not to mention if they don't want to opt into Zyra Khan, there's a big chance that they play against it, and then Braum is obviously one of the best support answers into that.
It certainly is. Braum also probably the best defensive support, but if you play him aggressively, can make it work, jumping to minions, punching people, getting those stats up.
That's what you expect out of FBI and Rogue. All they've been doing is dashing forwards, other than that one singular Caitlyn Jana game.
And then Talia picked up for Swiffer. I mean, mid lane champion pool has been decimated so far.
Yep. By Avant as well. Order have not touched that one. I guess they did ban the Rise, so that's 4 mid bans, but Talia is kind of touted as the best of the rest. You said that one, so it's going to be picked up here.
Ezreal will be priority pick for Blinky. Actually, he's had some good Ezreal games.
Yeah, he has, absolutely. And interesting to see if they do match the mid lane pick here or do go for the support. I have to think they're going to hold that support because Jake has shown that he's willing to counterpick. He's played a lot of the Nami, things like that.
Unless they want to play Taric. Ooh, that's spicy.
Yeah.
LeBlanc will be picked up for Frey.
Okay, this is the game. This is the game where he has to step up. He has to be the proactive one. You can't just match the wave clear of the Talia. He wants the kills with that Skarner. It's a bit of a weird duo. You have to think pre-6 Skarner's going to struggle in terms of actually ever getting onto the Talia. Obviously, Spooks hasn't picked up his jungler here.
Even post-6 is going to struggle.
Yeah.
If you don't flash, you're just going to get flicked away through all the pebbles, and it's going to be Tristana locked in for FBI. Saw Dream play that one to great success yesterday.
Yep, just
Rookie of the split, by the way.
Yeah, potentially. Definitely making his name for it, I think, especially after yesterday's performance. Tristana, just the basic 80 carry. Ezreal taken away. You feel like she's the next best. Kalia was Callista was banned away. Yep. Kalia.
That's good. I like that.
That's the Talia and Callista combo.
Yep.
But
how does that fare as a duo lane?
Yeah, I mean, it will be fairly good for the most part. They haven't picked away the bot lane. Oh, you mean Callista and Talia. Oh, that's bad. I feel like Omni is the only solo queue player that I see actually play Talia support anymore.
Yeah.
Talia was the champion. When mid laners get released, all the supports are like, man, I'm going to take Zoe bot. I'm real cool. I'm going to be the best. And they play it 2 games. They're like, okay,
this sucks.
Guys, I'm rubbish. I can't do it.
Taric getting taken away right now, and that will be Camille one more time picked up for Order. We know it's a genuine flex pick now because Tally played at game 1, Spooks played at game 2.
Yep, did prove me wrong almost immediately. So they hold that flex for their last pick.
And Kha'Zix as well as Sejuani banned away. So Zac, kind of the last tank left available. Rengar, yet to be changed on patch 8.3.
Yeah, big changes pre-buff for 8.4 there, but they're hovering the sign. That does get locked in, so just kind of a tanky top lane. They don't actually really need all that much proactivity. They've already got the sign and the Skarner. So is it the Morgana? Rosie's the only one that's played it so far, and it's very good with the Skarner. Kind of just guarantees his engage every time the flash is up.
Also very good with LeBlanc.
Yeah.
That's the old school combo where you give LeBlanc the shield, ensure that as she's dashing around, she's not getting CC'd or knocked up by something like a Braum and immediately popped.
And it's just so frustrating to deal with because LeBlanc, you know the W cooldown on the distortion, she can get over those walls and she can poke you, and you have those little windows of counterplay. But Morgana shield basically completely nullifies that. And there we have it, the Cho'Gath into the side. The tank v tank matchup in the top lane. And it will be Camille jungle.
This is a matchup we see in the LCK a lot versus the Sion. Cho'Gath's got a lot of innate sustain and also just good push.
Yeah.
So it can match a lot of what Sion wants to do. Also, I always say this, is that if late game you wanted to either hit someone a lot in the Sion, he's not really going to do that much apart from disrupt. The way Cho'Gath disrupts late game team fights is by one-shotting you. He's Eat with Stoneplate, still does a gross amount of damage.
He does, not to mention LeBlanc, one of the squishiest mid laners, and also the silence we haven't even talked about coming out of Cho'Gath. LeBlanc, if he dashes into a team fight, if Frey looks for a pick onto Swift or FBI and he gets silenced, he can't go back to that distortion. You think any damage, if a Shiv crit or a Shiv proc even, you don't even need to crit, comes out of FBI, then he will just be chomped immediately by that Cho'Gath.
Yep.
So it makes a lot of sense here out of the top laner for Order.
In saying that, I like both teams. I think there's some good early game pressure that's going to come out of Avant Gaming. They've got some good wave push coming in both the top lane and the mid lane if you have genuine kill threat. Meanwhile, Order's bottom lane probably going to win that shove, just given the fact they've got a Tristana and a Targon user.
Yep. Very early, but the safety of the Morgana does play a factor. Once they do get some levels, they will be shoved in the early lanes.
But it's a Q-Max Morg.
Yeah.
Not really good at pushing.
Yeah, it's just about the safety for the AD carry to hit the wave. Less about, like, mid lane Morgana, she just W's the waves and walks away. But obviously bot lane, you want to max the Q into the E for that shield duration. Oftentimes you see people just put a few points in Q for lane.
Fresh haircut from Kelly.
Yeah.
Didn't have that one yesterday.
Yeah, FBI did. So obviously the staggered base into the hair studio there. Off the rift for Order. I like it. But I do think the most of this game is going to have to rely on that mid lane. Frey, we mentioned very early in Champs League, he's going to have to step it up, and he absolutely will here. As we're taking a look at Laura, standing behind one of the coaches. We are onto the rift, AV versus Order, and I think we will be checking in with those two, Laura and Charlie.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing here with Charlie. Now, I want to start by asking you about your games last week. What were you able to learn about your team from your win against Legacy, but also your loss against the Chiefs?
I think the main thing we learnt last week was that regardless of what we practice during the week, we should always be willing to adapt on game day. And I think I did a really good job, and as a team, we adapted pretty well between games 1 and 2, and we were able to change our comp up entirely and win the next 2 games. So yeah, we can bring that into our weeks going forward.
Well, in this game, you put 3 bans towards Swiffer in the very first ban phase. Can you explain your reasoning behind that?
Well, they're not necessarily target bans against Swiffer. They're all just 3 strong champions, and banning those really opens up Frey's champion pool to play other things like LeBlanc. So yeah.
Well, we have the LeBlanc coming out in that mid lane. Are you able to explain how she works with the team composition?
So she's really good at picking people. She fits really well with Skarner, so we can have a really strong mid game. Also, her power spikes come a lot earlier than other champions, so her and Ezreal both want to fight around 2 items, so we just need to fight in the mid game and then we'll win.
I'm looking forward to seeing how Frey does on LeBlanc. Thank you so much and best of luck with the series.
So we have bottom side start out of AV, top side start out of Order. So the push will definitely be secured for Order. And we saw yesterday when Order started in lane, they actually didn't relent with the push in a lane that we thought was going to get shoved in continually.
Yeah, absolutely. Just had complete control of that one there. And as you mentioned, Spooks will end up down there. Frey, as we expected in the Talia match, it's only wave 1 right now, but Swiffer already has control. Q does land and they hit.
That's big damage actually coming
nice
out onto Blinky already. You said the blind is nice, but that's 1/3 of his health gone and potion burn at level 1. Started Doran's Blade. This is the second time as they actually jump in. Stun hits again. Can they actually stun him up? They do. Big damage, however. FBI took a turret shot in response.
Yeah, he does. So he falls very low. Rogue obviously has the Ignite and matched by Jakey, but he can keep landing these bitings onto FBI when they keep continuing to go in. If they can get trades like that despite being shoved in, could be fine for them. But trading HP on this side of the lane where Spooks is pathing down and Skarner only on Skarner is pathing away. Could be detrimental, but they are going to play the safety.
They've got a Doran's shield versus a Doran's blade. And if you don't have access to the wave, which Blinky doesn't have at the moment, you can see he's kind of trying to step up, but he's not continually auto-attacking the way FBI is. You just don't get the same amount of health back, let alone Targon sustained, as well as, you know, a bit of a Guardian proc as Frey goes in. Good trade there. We'll be able to land the root, pops back to his distortion.
Yep. That's going to be the big thing so far. We'll just be continuously shoved in. We'll have to see if Only can actually get into the mid lane. Only level 3 right now. And we do have an Infernal Drake spawning for the first dragon of the game. You have to think that favors Order on the bot side of the map.
Certainly should. Late on the rocks there was Swiffer. Going to take another big trade. However, he actually just picks up first blood. What was Frey doing?
Frey just didn't go back to his distortion there. Swiffer just flinging pebbles at his face. Has both flash available. And the heal still on Swiffer. So despite if he actually continued that trade, wouldn't have even won it. Questionable out of Frey. Has to burn his TP early to get back to lane.
That is so strange. Started without, I was going to mention it, but he started with a Dark Seal, which is kind of the sustain lane. And what you want to do is you want to base on like Doran's Ring and Corrupting Pot, and then just come in and stay in lane forever. But he fought too early, and that's not going to be the case anymore.
Yeah, has to go back for that Doran's Ring. No Corrupting Pot and has burnt the TP already. Swiffer didn't have to burn either summoners. But it looks like the mid and bottom lanes just continuously trading well for Order. We're only 4 minutes in.
And Cho'Gath's actually doing fine in the push. So you can see right now in the top lane, he's getting access to the wave. He's just eating it down as much as he wants. Pabu's just looking for Spooks right now. That's actually a very nice ward.
Look at that, but Spooks just walking out of base. Has got his first recall, matched by Only. Both of them just going green spot. Won't see that one after this week. But we do have to mention level 6 will be the big point for this team comp out of AV. You have to think, just like the Malzahar, the Skarner wants to get that one singular gank off, and then they can go from there.
See that Spook's actually very deep in here. Pabu's on the wrong side of the lane. Does not have any vision control for Spooks. You could potentially go up there, go for a bit of a gank.
Yep, you have to think they wouldn't be able to secure a kill here, potentially on the first one. Might just be looking to burn the flash.
Yeah, actually corrals him towards the jungle. That will be a little bit of chip damage going down. Okay. And they're actually able to get a couple of procs. So what that does, interesting interaction. Do you know how it works?
The silence.
Puts it on a 1.5 second cooldown. Okay. So it doesn't completely reset the cooldown. Okay. So you can use it again, but it's good for things like avoiding ganks. Yep. So very interesting interaction. It's one of the only interactions where silence doesn't completely put the ability on reset.
It's actually real weird there. But Pabu obviously couldn't find his way back into the trade. Telly and Spooks do back away. They get a nice chunk. No summoners burnt, but he's sitting very low mana, and he has gone for the Glacial Augment as well. Hasn't gone for the Comet we saw Tally pick up yesterday.
You'd have to say all 3 lanes right now are losing. And Only, whilst he is up on farm, hasn't really yet passed towards the lane to try and swing anything here.
But I mean, like, stylistically, that's what the Skarner does. For the most part, these lanes are fairly hard to gank for the most part. I guess especially in the mid lane would be that big one if a chain does land, but Frey losing that 1v1 already, but Only ahead in camps will be hitting level 6 first. You have to think,
that's
nice
another Q landing from the Braum. Every single time Rogue marches forward, Blinky has to use the E to get away.
Yeah, you don't want to have an E Ezreal on your team, and Blinky is that right now, just trying to farm up as best he can. But every time he trades a Braum Q for the E.
That's a very nice binding. You can see Dor has to go up. Rogue this time takes the bad end of a trade. It's an airy Morgana coming out.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty standard so far for the most part. Comet, obviously, unless you're able to land significant binds and you can play aggressive, you don't go for the Comet because it's not reliable to land. Obviously, you have the shield as well. Another Q lands. Blinky has to E. So low on HP, so low on mana. And I feel like Only's trying to pass towards bot side to give themselves a base, but Spooks has matched it in the river, and because of his bot lane, has control over this Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what they were trying to do. They were just trying to hover for the Scuttle. Binding does not hit, and in goes FBI. 2 shots down, gets ignited. The heal is out of Blinky. Burns 2 summoner spells. Spooks also just makes a cameo down in the bottom lane. Swiffer, level 6, potentially going to look for a wall. However, is on a ward, and that should just be the disengage.
Yeah, and FBI just goes in for the 2v1. Does come out with a victory there. Frey might just be looking for something onto Swiffer, trying to contest his pink ward, but we do have Tally walking down from the river as well. They can get anything done, but will just be spotted out by a nice pink. Wards and pings are going onto Tally.
See right now, good trade coming from Frey. Both chains will land. Gets the flash out of Swiffer.
It's a big deal. Skarner didn't have to invest his ulti, so they still have the flash ult available from him if they can return to this mid lane.
Yep.
Obviously, Cleanse doesn't do anything against the Skarner, so Swiffer's just gone for the heal. A little bit of move speed will help, but if he can't land the flick, you have to think the next time Skarner actually visits mid lane, that will net themselves a kill.
Yeah, and that's, I think, why Swiffer's just letting the lane slowly push into him right now. Knows he mucked up there, took a bad trade. So we'll just have to play a little bit scared for now. Meanwhile, top lane, Pabu back with what looks to be the making of an Abyssal Mask.
Matched by Tally as well, so fairly standard out of the top laners right now. Both just two big meaty tanks with a lot of wave clear. Junglers haven't gone up there for the most part. Spooks with that one invade, but Pabu looking like he's getting the better end of trades right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. You can see chunks him down. However, the thing about Cho'Gath, which is so damn frustrating, is he's got such a large health pool at this stage of the game, only gets bigger from his ultimate, and if you don't kill him, he just sustains so easily.
Not to mention he's also gone grass. Versus Blaze, he'll go another.
In jump again. That's a level 6 on both the members. Actually flashes forward, looking for the first blood. Rogue's able to pick that one up. That was a little bit interesting. Yeah. And it's not the first blood, it's the second blood.
Yeah, really nice play out of the Order bottom lane. The Q, this is the thing about Morgana into these matchups. The Q from Braum can actually break the shield, so he uses that one early. The proc comes through and he flashes with the ulti, so the shield can't keep him safe. Burns his flash as well. Jake goes down.
I actually think he used Predator there. I think that's a misuse of Predator. Because as soon as you get Predator, you know like he's coming for you.
Yep.
And I honestly think if he just walked out of the brush without it and flash ulted, he probably would have been close to range. Obviously, Boots 2 versus Boots 1 makes that a little bit interesting. FBI takes the turret at 8 minutes in.
Solo turret gold given to the Tristana, already ahead of the curve over the Ezreal. And of course, he did get that tier pickaxe base. Not the ideal of the Sheen.
Nah, that base sucks.
Yep. So, already significantly far behind. Tristana is able to pick up that first turret gold. Do they opt in for the lane swap? You have to think they're going to go back bot side. Infernal Drake is a big, juicy objective that they will want.
Potentially. I mean, at the same time, we saw the fact that, you know, they're able to push him very quickly. I don't know whether the Ezreal really has all that much threat towards a dragon at this stage of the game. But it looks like they are going to go down there.
Yeah, but I mean, if you do split the map, then it becomes more about just the numbers, and you don't want to risk actually trying to contest both. You go top side, you have to walk all the way down. That's a significant time investment, but they are just deploying back to the bot side. In this mid lane, for the most part, a few trades here and there, but
Predator again. Swiffer gets hit by the chain second time around. Will get flash ultied. However, the rest of the lineup is here. Hextech Ultimatum goes down. That's a stun already onto Only, and that will be FBI picking up a kill.
And they not only invest the ulti into the gank, both flashes out of Frey and Only. So in a 2v4, the wall goes up from
mid lane turret as well. You have to think it's going to go down. It's a big investment out of AV, and it bites them in the bum.
Yeah, big investment in terms of cooldowns. Not the numbers, though. Side lane still not there. They're looking for more.
Frey actually might be dead here. Gets Buster Shot. It goes down. You can see mid lane turret falls. 2 kills mid lane turret, and only 10 minutes in. This is a 3,500 gold lead.
And one by one, AV sort of walk into the mid lane, try and contest, and they do just keep going down. And this is kind of what the whole composition is built around, this Skarner LeBlanc. You heard Charlie talk about it in the interview. They wanted to ban out the champions from Swiffer. They wanted to open up the champion pool of Frey, but so far, unsuccessful.
And this is I mean, a little bit of a rant, but this is why you generally don't throw bans at people like Chippies or Swiffer.
Yep.
Because they don't play 3 champions.
Yep.
Chippies plays about 10 top laners at the moment. So Gangplank is like broken. So I can understand Azir. I can understand Zoe. I can understand potentially Azir.
Yep.
But throwing bans at someone like Swiffer just seems to be such a strange way to try and open up a champion pool, because you know he plays everything.
Yep.
He even has things like Kassadin and things like that if he wants to be able to pull it out.
Yeah, and I mean, the mid lane champion pools in general are just hard to pinch because they're just huge. You always have these fringe picks.
Victor, Talia, Orianna, Vladimir.
We've seen him play Galio already.
Yeah.
Things like that. The Malzahar still hasn't been touched this series, but Order do pick themselves up that mid turret already broken. They get the Dragon. Traded for the Rift Herald.
It's a good trade when you're behind. You're able to grab any objective off the map. You've got to credit AV for that.
Yeah, AV's bottom lane looking for the opportunity of a bind here, but Swiffer is rotating to the top side. Obviously, Frey has been deployed down bot. Just wants to go up against Tally. Needs some items before he's actually a significant kill threat onto the carries of Order. So
and all he's doing is forcing them off the turret because he's in fog of war. They know exactly where he is, but he's just threatening with that, and they're able to get one of the Tristana E's onto the turret. If that happens 2 or 3 more times, potentially turret will fall down.
I mean, he has the blue buff as well, so he can throw mana around willy-nilly here. If those satchels land every single wave, it's only a matter of time before this turret goes down. But Only is pathing towards top side, but once again, they're trying to clear out the vision in the river on the side of Order. Swiffer and Spooks walking up the river, use that Scry's Bloom, spot out a few wards, but the Crab is still available for AV, so finding.
But the fact that you can see him doesn't really do all that much.
Yep.
Because once again, he wants to be seen. He wants to force you off the turret. Boots 2 rush is so annoying on Talia because she's still got good wave clear and then just zooms around.
You're essentially just getting free value. You don't even have to expend the Weaver's Wall to force them off the turret. Then you just hold on to that cooldown. You can still commit to a bot side play. If they do try and match, you take the turret top side because they back away, they go bot, and Swiffer still has that ulti. Then he can still get down there if he chooses.
Also, I'm going to say a strange deploy coming out of Avant here, because we talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago. When you have a 1-3-1 comp, you kind of want one to be AP and one to be AD. So if the tank picks up an AP item and say that's a Z right now, you still have genuine kill threat. Whereas right now, sending a LeBlanc into a Cho'Gath lane, especially one that's rushed Abyssal Mask and looking for Merc Treads, I feel like doesn't actually get anything done down there. No kill threat available.
And I feel like AV agree with you right now because they put Frey back mid. They throw Pabu down there against the Cho'Gath, just trying to push him out, just trying to hold some of this aggression coming up. But the turret looks like it will go down with this Demolish proc and the Satchel.
Yeah, potentially. That's a big Demolish proc coming in already.
Here over the wall.
Looking to actually zone them. You can see they go forward. Hextech ultimatum into the Talia Weaver's wall. Jake goes over looking for the ulti. Does get the slow. Spooks very low. Will have to try and get out of this one. No, Frey's going to clean him off. You can see Pabu teleporting in. FBI very low. That's going to be the knock-up flash over the wall. Out of Tally, however. Where is he? Eat available. Does just get kited out. Only looking for Swiffer. Will be able to pick him up with the ultimate. Swiffer has to burn the flash on the back end. Blinky gets knocked up and Swiffer falls down to Frey. So this is a good team fight so far. Order need to kite back. Tally just might have to be thrown to the wolves. He is tanky, but he is not tanky enough to take anyone. Or is he? Braum Shield no longer available. Pabu, same situation. Good double knock-up going forward, and that's going to be Tally finally falling. That is a 3-for-1 right now that Avant have won.
And early in the game, again, we see Order overcommit onto these 5v5 plays in the side lane. Only wasn't even there in the beginning of the fight, but the carries FBI just gets so low. And then as soon as Swiffer gets ulted up by the Skarner, they have no damage to their name, and with the Rift Herald, they should be able to take down this turret.
Yeah, you certainly hope so, and this is kind of what Charlie was saying. Even though they're behind in gold, their comp comes online earlier. Tristana with one item is not the best carry in the game. However, you saw Blinky able to put in work with that Sheen, with that Muramana. So, Order bite off more than they can chew early in the game, and it costs them about 2,000 of their gold lead.
Yeah, and we see the engage coming out of Spooks. The E from Morgana doesn't actually stop him from being chained to that location. So this is the start of the fight. Looks good, they get the pick. But the big thing is that bind actually lands onto Spooks. So LeBlanc comes out of this, cleans up one of the carries. That's one damage thread down, and FBI falls so low, and he has to jump away. Swiffer actually goes back in here, and FBI can't do damage. Pabu is a tanky man, and right, he just face tanks the Skarner. And Blinky, despite being so low, can just clean up the fight. He can play on the back end. Tally landed a good few knockups in this fight, but ultimately it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't. He also wasn't able to use that ultimate, which is so much of Cho'Gath's damage whenever you are in the game.
Absolutely, and if we just see the back end of this, they're just going to clean up a few more kills. That Rift Herald does come through on the turret, but that's a big deal. Also, Frey picked up those 2 kills, so going from 0-2 to now 2-2, has the Sork Boots, had that Dark Seal as well, so gets a nice few stacks to get himself back in the game. Also completes his first item, so that's a big swing for the LeBlanc.
Certainly is. You can see right now, Spook's a little bit of an interesting build, has himself a Tiamat. Going to be able to farm up the jungle a little bit more effective with that item. However, is very squishy, as we keep seeing.
Hasn't even finished his jungle item there. Has not got the warrior, so just back for enough with the Tiamat. Chooses that to go over. The completion of that item. But everything goes back to standard so far. Frey is actually matching the mid lane. Blinky has been deployed side lane, so...
Well, he probably has a legitimate kill threat again, now that that Gunblade has been picked up. Swiffer didn't use his heal for some strange reason in that last team fight, even though he fell down.
Order looking for something. They have a lot of vision control on the bot side. Jungle only might just face check this one.
Yeah, Flick just misses. Maybe a little bit of impatience.
Yeah, nice read out of Only. He knew they were there, but he just couldn't quite see them, so he throws his thing to the bush there, does check it, steps back. That's kind of one of the marks of actually a good player. You kind of face check a bush, but you're juking whilst you do it, despite not knowing if anyone's actually in there.
Yep.
You kind of respected the fact that they can be. So he's juking prior to knowing the ability is even flying at his head. Dodges out of the flick. And it does net them control the bot side of the map once again.
Order trying to get access to bottom lane wave to make sure someone has to answer that. They actually engage onto Only here. Flick back, Hextech ultimatum.
Fine.
However, Spooks just falls so quickly. And now the fight's going to be a 4v5. You see Tally gets engaged onto. Bind will hit again. Frey pops over the wall. Does not get anything. And now FBI marching forward, trying to get some damage into Jake. Does not go for that hop.
Spooks kind of in two minds there. He went to the wall and held it for a second. Didn't know if he wanted to commit. Swiffer was backing away, but he eventually does, and he immediately flashes. But Jake predicts the bind does land, so he goes down 4v5. Second Infernal Drake has spawned. Order do this time and time again. They're looking for the bushes.
Oh, Flick misses. However, that's going to be a bind onto Swiffer. You see,
nice silence.
all of a sudden, fight will break out, and Blinky just isn't there. Pabu going down very low will get eaten by Tally, and now the rest of them have to head for the hills. You can see Pabu trying to put in some damage. Swiffer takes a wall forward, looking for Jake. That will be a kill picked up by FBI. Reset will be there, as you mentioned. Does get ultimate, does Buster shot him away. That just takes him underneath the turret. Rogue flashes forward, saves his life. Order will have to take the kill or two and pick themselves up an Infernal.
And once again, somebody just face checks the other team there. Blinky was not at the fight, but Pabu goes down early. They couldn't quite get onto Skarner, and that seems like Order's gameplay right now. They know the comp revolves around Skarner getting a pick onto a carry, so they keep sitting in vision, they keep pink warding the river, setting up, trying to flick him back, trying to insta-burst only. But unfortunately, time and time again, it's just not quite there, but they do clean up a few kills on the back end of the fight, and that's a second Infernal Drake.
And just as we were saying, the kills onto Frey have to be acknowledged. The fact that now FBI just picked up a double and he's going to be so accelerated into a 2-item spike. He's going to have that third in 2,800 gold. I mean, if you do not fight in this window right now, even though you're down by 4,000 gold, I feel like FBI will just take over this game with his range, with those crit items.
Not to mention with the extra damage from the Dragon. 2v1 in the bot lane, but Tally just kind of clean up the wave. Does the tanky thing, hits that, plays PvE, walks away. The rest of the members of AV are setting up bot side, but this does mean that Order kind of get to set up top side. Baron spawning in a minute. There is legitimate threat there, but AV are looking early for this turret.
Interesting build coming out of Only. There's kind of two minds about Skarner. You either go Righteous Glory and you catch someone, or you can Predator and then slow everyone around. It looks like that's what he's going for with something like a Randuin's Omen. Against so much crit coming out of FBI, you completely understand the purchase. He doesn't want to get 3-shot.
Yep. Absolutely here, and they do actually get themselves this turret. Order pinging on the top side of the map, so they do have all that control. Can they actually push in on the Scion? Tally has respected the 2v1. He respects the fact that there could be multiple members. Only kind of was around there, but he backs away. Do Order play it the same?
It's because didn't have any presence mid lane. However, now does get the silence to land, looking to try and save the turret. Will not be able to. Pabu doing the same on top lane. However, Demolish Proc's doing a lot of work.
Not to mention, you have to think FBI has significantly more kill threat onto the Scion than was onto Tally on that Cho'Gath there. They do. Red buff is applied.
Yeah, actually going to look for it. And all of a sudden, Only going to try and come in, going to try and save his life. Ulti's the Braum. Braum puts up the door. Will be able to just hop away here, you think. However, does get chained by Frey, and that's going to be a free kill going over to AV. Very well played. Also get the teleport out.
Yeah, they do. Spooks was looking to lock down the LeBlanc, but unfortunately the turret damage was too great. That does mean Rogue goes down, so they finally do get a pick. Numbers advantage for AV, but doesn't mean all that much. The blue still looking like it's coming out of Order.
Yeah, Order pretending to go for a hard reset. Looked like they wanted to try and pick someone on this. However, they just will take the objective and back away.
Playing the bait and switch. And that seems like Order's gameplay right now. They're pushing in the waves and then they're just falling back slightly to their vision control and just looking for picks. They know if they just like full out 5v5 and the Skarner does get that pick, it's going to be bad news. So playing it fairly tentatively.
So as we take a look at the map, Scion is at a 2-ish item spike right now. Is a very tanky fellow. Going to be matched pretty much exactly by the Cho'Gath. So tank versus, you know, a little bit more damage threat potentially out of Cho. Round the rest of Summoner's Rift. I mean, what do you think AV need to do right now to be able to peg this one back? Only 3,000 gold.
Well, it's really on the LeBlanc pick overall, I think, for the most part. It's actually going to really struggle. They have that Morgana shield, but I feel like Spooks is going to try and play the game that Swaith did earlier in the season when he was playing Camille. And he just tries to lock him down. As soon as the distortion comes out, you see Spooks time and time again, flings him with that ulti, and then just locks him into that location. It's just so easy for FBI. With this tanky lineup, you have the Cho'Gath, you have the Braum that he can just sit behind, and he's already ahead of the curve, has the QSS, so doesn't have to fear the Skarner.
You can see right now that he, as you mentioned, has picked up a QSS. That's a little bit of a snowball purchase. I feel like if he was behind the clock, would have just gone for more damage. So it's going to be Flick landing on Jake, but a very nice like shield. We'll be able to nullify the CC effects there. And is it as simple as, you know, Order now just got a better late game team comp, get your Tristana 3-4 items and just play the waiting game? Do they have to be in a hurry now?
I don't think they are in a hurry, actually. They're looking for something. The wall
Weaver's Wall going to come here. You can see Flash out. Camille hops onto the wall, so they get a key summoner spell out of Jake.
Yeah, we're saying they don't have to be in a hurry, but they look for a play. But that's the thing, they've got double Infernal Drake. Tristana does scale, and AV wanted to set up the 1v1. They wanted Frey to have that kill threat in the side lane. But because of the kills going over to the carries of Order, they're kind of matched right now. They're sort of looking for a 5v5, but it's really hard to actually execute.
Yeah,
they might find Tally.
Sprinting into the jungle. Is that the person you really want? You can see not yet going to ulti him up. Does now, and Tally's just still full health. We'll be able to put some work into Frey. Gets a knock up as well on the back end. Already Jake is dead, and Order corralling them. That's going to be Spooks. Hextech ultimatum onto Blinky will fall down. However, trades his life for the 80 carry. That has to be worthwhile. Frey gets stunned up, gets absolutely demolished, and this is Order with 4 picks. Can now go towards Baron. Actually, it was only 3.
And if you look at the mobility on the side of AV, sure, LeBlanc can follow Gascana when he pops that Predator. He gets onto Tally, but he was actually silenced whilst the CC landed, so Tally lives for long enough, and that just gives time for the rest of Order to clean up. Both carries, Swiffer and FBI, just standing behind the Braum. There's nothing they can do. Frey gets a lot of his damage blocked if he actually tries to go through the Braum. So they just go down. The questionable pick onto Tally. Why are you going on the Cho'Gath? If you can get onto a carry, sure, but investing so heavily into chasing into the enemy jungle, they're just so far extended.
Yeah, and they feel they can do this even without the jungler just because they've got Tally's Munch. Here it goes, able to pick that one up with the ultimate. Potentially going to be a team fight on the back end here. Swiffer actually just flashes the wall and gets the heck out of dodge. I like that high percentage play.
Yeah, respects the fact that he can get caught out. The W did land, would cancel his recall there, so we see this once again. We're actually looking at the other side because Tally is caught up right now. FBI doesn't actually get hit by the binding. He hits on to the Braum, so he goes down immediately. Blinky's like desperately trying to get out. Has to E over that wall, but he's just corralled. Has nothing available. Has both summoners, but this is a nice play out of Spooks. Lands the E-Flash combo and locks him down. Frey he's there, he's dealing damage. He takes down Spooks, but FBI is just completely untouched, and he's just doing so much.
Yeah, he's a fed Tristana. Now got himself another Zeal. Be interested to see how close that second Zeal item he is. Blade of the Royal King being worked on right now. And that's a massive wall. All of a sudden, they're just fishing a barrel. Jake will fall down onto the tanky Scion. Pabu just does not last at all. And Order now 7,000 gold up. We'll pick up a 3rd Infernal Drake.
And you have to respect that AV are trying. They're not slowly bleeding it out. They want to contest. They know the triple Infernal. It's the game's not over yet, but it is a bit of a death sentence for the most part. That's a big deal there. So they're trying to contest. They're trying to get some semblance of the river control, but Swiffer locks 3 of them in. That's going to be 2 pickups for Order.
And I feel like, you know, we talk about it a lot, but if you're a Taliyah player at home, watch Swiffer's VODs, watch Triple's VODs, because they use their wall in combat more effective than any other Taliyah players in the OPL. I feel like it's a part of her kit that if you can master, takes you from, you know, a good Taliyah player to a fantastic Taliyah player.
It's just creative play.
That's a big knock-up. Jump forward coming out of FBI. That's a 2-hit. Blinky just will survive on the back end. You can see Pabu now trying to get in. Does get knocked up by that Braum ultimate. Where is the stun? There it is. Chain CC is just absolutely there for days. FBI wants to jump in. And you can see Pabu on the back end whilst he's dead. He's just wailing on Swiffer. And Order, disciplined thing. They don't try and pad their stats. They just take a group recall.
Yeah, after what we saw yesterday, FBI hitting the objectives, doesn't go too far forward as soon as Blinky gets himself out of there, respects that Pabu is looking for an engage. He pulls the trigger short, doesn't quite get onto the carries of Order, but he goes down, caught in between everyone.
All right, so whilst we're complimenting FBI, I'm going to point out one thing. He just went back and bought a longsword as opposed to a pickcord.
Yeah.
Just a little small thing in League of Legends that are upsetting.
He's sitting on 21 vision score. Blinky's almost there. He's losing the game heavily, but he's got 19.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yep.
He's got himself 2
Small
pinks.
victories.
Small victories. You got to take them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Swiffer looking for a death cap. Not normally the item you see out of Taliyah. Doesn't have the best AP scaling. However, with triple Infernal Drakes, death cap's going to help out a little bit.
Yeah, 100% there. Flat AP. Very good when you get that multiplier. Frey was looking for a pick in the top river, trying to clear out some vision, but Spooks just backs away over the wall. They do have some semblance of control right now as Order just kind of reset. They want to set up their lanes. Tally is in topside, has the TP, but so does Pabu.
Yeah, Spooks is a little bit deep here. Has to respect the fact that Only can just grab him, drag him into the team.
He's learned his lesson after flashing into his OEQ and getting completely one-shot on the Kha'Zix yesterday. He's like, look, I'm Camille, I'm pretty squishy. All I've got is a tabby, so I don't want to be taking any damage here.
Yep, completely agree. Meanwhile, FBI and Rogue have got 100% kill participation on every kill apart from that first blood. They've been absolutely everywhere for the Order lineup. You can see Pabu not as tanky at all. They've lost the Baron buff, however. That demolished proc out of Cho'Gath.
Based on HP, and he has a lot of it there. Doesn't have the
Stoneblade,
gargoyle. Yeah, so he's not looking for the... Oh, that hurts. Not looking for the one-shot wall. Coming out, going to block off Frey, but he can get over.
Yeah, exactly right. You already used the heal there from Swiffer, who's a little bit too far forward. Only does get flicked, and now he's just getting pincered. Will get eaten, and Jake falls down as well to a red buff ticking. You can see Blinky, one hit will actually fall so incredibly low. Rogue is like, stop diving the Nexus. I will try and save you. This is potentially second time this is going to happen. Rogue goes very low second. Inhibitor going to be picked up here.
And I feel like AV are taking the wrong opportunities. Pabu got chunked and he walked back to base when he went for the heal and then only tried to get onto Swiffer, and that was the point. Swiffer did burn the heal to get himself out, but they're looking for the engage in the 4v5, but the inhib does go down to the back end of that. That's going to be 2. In order of flipping themselves to the top side of the map right now. Big gold lead, 11,000.
And I feel like you can see the physical restraint that they're trying to play with. They're trying to say, we will not give this one away. We will close it out methodically. People are diving in and they're like, no. Hard reset. We're going to take the 3rd inhibitor. We are closing this out as close to tutorial style as possible.
And junglers and supports are really the ones that cop it. And that's Rogue right there. He had to burn his flash to get out of the Nexus turrets because he's like, FBI, what are you doing? Why are you under the enemy's base when they were just taking the inhib? He has to burn that cooldown there, but he's a tanky Braum, significantly ahead of the clock. Actually, Jake went for the Zonyas. I feel like that's sort of a desperation play.
Yeah.
He knows if he goes for the redemption, like it doesn't even matter. Locket, anything like that. Ardent Sensor.
He's looking for a 5-man ulti as they dive something.
He's just like, okay, like this is a miracle play if we win a team fight. So he actually fishes for that. I can respect it, honestly.
Yeah,
so he goes for the first item Zonyas.
Completely agree with you. I think the only way they win right now is if Order get overzealous on a dive and Jake lands a massive ultimate into a Zonyas combo. Level 2, it's going to be not insignificant damage.
Yeah, but the big thing is just the CC, right? Yep. Support Morgana. Doesn't do a whole lot, but if he can lock down FBI for long enough, they can win a team fight. It's a big deal. Yep. More so on Swiffer, to be honest, because FBI has that QSS. He has that
or
extra
someone
safety.
like Spooks. If he picks Spooks and makes it a 4v5 straight away, obviously not the best
Wall,
target.
again.
As Wall comes out again, this time it cuts off
looking.
2. And that's the Zonya player that we're talking about. However, there's just no one there, and he gets knocked up. Swiffer will take him down. That's just going to be Super Creep streaming in on 2 lanes. It's a 4v5 already. Order just going to slow play this one.
They do, slow play. The pseudo Taric ulti coming out. They kind of disengage the fight. They're like, hey, he's going to die eventually out of this ulti, out of the Zonyas. So they just wait for Jakey to go down. They don't overcommit over that CC.
You can see Order just going to chip away at the turret. That's going to be a Braum ultimate trying to stop any form of engage. Super Creep's already on the Nexus. They flash forward, eat the Skarner. I wonder what Pokemon tastes like. Now they just sit here. They're just still chilling as a base is getting destroyed by minions.
I can't imagine Skarner tastes very good. Isn't he made out of like crystals and stuff? He's just real chewy, real rough, just cut your gums up.
I mean, rocks. Salt is technically crystals. That tastes pretty good.
Okay, Pabu looking.
Yeah, actually gets a lot of damage onto FBI, who just buster shots him away. Going to look to flash forward, pick up another kill. That's Nexus turret number 1 and 2 already fallen down. They jump forward onto Jake. Going to look to see if they can pick up a kill. And you can see right now, Order just going to focus out the Nexus. If AV do not come forward, they will just take game number 1.
And I love that FBI was nowhere near the fountain there. He's all the way back on the other side of the Nexus, just hitting away. But that is a pretty clean victory from Order. AV kind of looking desperate in their base a few times, but at that situation, gold lead almost insurmountable. Triple Infernal Drake. Just too much to overcome with those late game team fights, and it was an easy closeout from Order.
Yeah, and this is another one of those situations where I feel like a team has picked a passive bottom lane. Much in the same way as we saw yesterday, Tectonic did against the Chiefs. And if you just can't fight fire with fire, you can't stand up, you give the other team too much room to go aggressive, and there was no punish coming out of that 2v2.
And that's the thing, the punish would be in the mid lane when Skarner hits level 6, when they get onto Swiffer, when they can finally pick up a kill there, but unfortunately Frey, very early in the lane, that was the fulcrum that their gameplay relied upon. The LeBlanc getting ahead, they picked it. It's kind of, we haven't seen it. Fringe pick at best.
Ryoma played it against Claire, so we've seen it one game.
Yeah, we have. And so, like, as soon as that happens, their game plan, they really don't have a lane to play through. Defensive bottom lane, top lane was just kind of nullified. Tank v tank, Cho'Gath versus Sion. There's not a lot of kill threat up there, especially after Spooks kind of did the gank onto Pabu, so he's like in the negative in that matchup so far, and they just really didn't have an avenue to play through.
Yeah, and I feel like this is potentially a criticism that we're going to levy at only a lot of the time, is that if he is on their primary engaged threat, you know, in the ideal world, Pabu's teleporting in, looking for flanks, looking for big ultimates onto the backline, but really only needs to be leading the charge. In situations where Jake isn't on a champion that necessarily helps him out, like a Braum, like an Alistar, it seems to fall over a lot of the time. And I don't know whether it's a shot calling issue, whether it's a confidence thing from Only, but I feel like he needs to be able to play primary engage a lot better than he currently does.
Yeah, I think 100% agree. The meta dictates the junglers do play primary engage. We saw Spooks on the Camille that game.
Just suicide engaging.
Yeah, he was. Like in the last team fight, Pabu goes in and he actually got onto FBI and then got immediately deleted. But what we didn't see off screen is Spooks just dashes onto 3, ultis someone and dies. And that means there's no damage. So the one thing that AV could have tried to claw back from wasn't effective. And we see the meta right now, like Sedge, Zach, things like that. We've seen Spooks play Gragas and be primary engaged. So there are things there, but the Skarner just didn't work.
Yeah, it certainly didn't. And I think that at the same time, you do have to complement the carries from Order, because when Swiffer didn't have Flash, played around the Skarner very well. Respect QSS coming out of FBI, and I think that they do play that front-to-back style when they know that they are the priority targets very well, to the point where Only was ulting people like Tally, which went against the game plan.
Yeah, I mean, they were ulting Tally, they ulted Braum in the top lane, Rogue as well, so they were they just realized that they couldn't get onto the carries. There was that lead already, and it was just too hard, so they were trying to take what they could, but I feel like the execution and kind of, you mentioned Only shot calling, whether he is the shot caller, I think it mostly rests on Jake and his shoulders, but I feel like it broke down a little bit, because they were engaging when Pabu was in base, when Blinky wasn't there. It seemed like there was this kind of mismatch in when they were looking for things and when they should be, and not to mention everyone wasn't even on the same page.
Yeah, it certainly looked to be the case. So Order were able to pick up game 1 in quite decisive fashion. However, to break that one down a little bit more, let's throw it over to Juves and Laura.
Thank you very much, guys. I am joined here by Juves to talk a bit about that game. Juves, I want to start in the draft, because you were saying you weren't a big fan of Avant's draft that game. Well,
I feel like in this meta, if you have to ban Azir and Zoe on blue side, both of them, then you're kind of in a bad spot just to start the game, because you're target banning probably 2 of the strongest mids right now when you have first pick. So then if you have to do that on red side as well, you can't ever target ban a team. So you just basically giving them 2 power picks on red side.
I also want to talk about Skarner, because it's a champion we've seen pop up quite a lot recently over the past few weeks. But what makes him so good right now?
I don't think he's like first pickable by any means, because I know we did see him first picked. Yes, we saw him first picked. Like, you can first pick him, it's fine. But like, I wouldn't first pick Skarner for like a Tristana Braum or whatever they took. Like that's like pretty OP right now. But I guess Tristana is really good because it just excels at like catching out carries, and especially like, if you skirmish with Skarner around the shrines. Are they called shrines? What are they?
Let's go with
I probably should know this. I'm on the analyst couch, but no. If you skirmish with Skarner around that, he gets like such like he gets a real big combat boost in terms of like the attack speed and whatnot, and the Predator complements his ultimate. So I think I saw some aftershock. Skarner yesterday.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Which like I don't really like, because like you play Skarner for that ultimate. So if you can run Predator and Righteous Glory, which I didn't see last game either, you just want to basically full steam ahead at a carry like I did to Swiffer yesterday. We didn't kill him, but I heard Swiffer yelling from the other room that I was coming at him. So you just want to make it like, you want to basically either force a QSS by early, or like basically you're just making picks left and right. So that's like the nature behind the Skarner Predator kind of thing over Aftershock.
I want to rewind a bit and ask you about that moment yesterday where you were chasing Swiffer down mid lane. You were so deep. What was going on there? And could you hear what Swiffer was saying?
We were behind, and I was like, all right, we just got to do something. And so I popped Predator, and then I didn't pop Righteous yet, but I saw Simon push up mid, Swiffer, and I was just like, yeah, I have to do this. Like, I have to go for this. So I Righteous at him, and I was screaming. I'm like, kill him, kill him, kill him. And I spoke to Simon after the game, and Simon was like, he told his team initially, like, he was fine, and don't worry about coming. Then as soon as I hit Righteous, he yelled. He's like, help me out, help me, help me. We ended up getting him. I didn't kill him, but it was good to put some fear into the man.
It was good entertainment, yeah. We're also seeing Camille come into the jungle quite a bit. Can you talk to us about why she's being flexed between top and mid at the moment? Jungle at the moment?
Yeah. So I think top lane, Camille is pretty safe, but it does have like some matchups where she can lose. Whereas like in the jungle, you can often go like red buff straight to mid, burn sums, like that level 2 cheese that I really like. And like it also forces the enemy team to play safe. I think of Camille sometimes as like Elise. You don't have a cocoon, but the hook shot basically acts like a cocoon. And I feel like at the moment, the jungle consists of like Sejuani, Zach, Kha'Zix at times, but it's mainly tanks, and tanks in the jungle I feel don't really scale that well into the late game. Like post 30 minutes you're just going to get melted by an AD carry, whereas like Camille gives you that like mid to late game like true damage on the Q, you're always going to be able to one-shot a carry, and the ultimate is so valuable. So it's just a really nice flex. Like if you get a kind of bad matchup top lane in Camille and you want some early pressure around the map with the hook shots, I think Camille's a very good pick.
Thank you for your tips and thoughts on that game, Jubes. But if you head over to oce.lolesports.com, you can print off one of these sheets that all of our pro players have been filling out over the weekend. We want to see what you do when you're not playing League of Legends to keep yourself in a healthy headspace. I have Bryce Egan Pauls right here. When he's not playing League of Legends, he likes to listen to music and eat Cadbury Chocky eggs.
Chocky eggs?
Chocky eggs.
Chocky.
Are you a fan of Cadbury Chocky eggs?
Maybe not chocky eggs. I like chocolate eggs.
Chocolate?
Yeah, they're nice.
What do you do, Jubes?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to admit it. I go for walks with my mum and my dog, and I usually like DM with my mum, have good chats with my mum. So I'm a bit of a mummy's boy.
That's so sweet.
But there's no shame in being a family man or a mother's boy. So everyone watching, love your family, talk to your family. It's very important.
That is some beautiful advice. Thank you so much, Tubes. Please send those to us on Twitter using the hashtag Headspace Round. We're going to go to a short break, but when we get back, we're going to have Game 2 between Avant and Order.
Ultimatum into the Talia Weaver's wall. Jake goes over looking for the ulti. Does get the slow. Spooked very low. Will have to try and get out of this one. No, Frey's going to clean him up. All of a sudden, fight will break out, and Blinky just isn't there. Pabu going down very low. Will get eaten by Tally, and now the rest of them have to head for the hills. You can see Pabu trying to put in some damage. Swiffer takes a wall forward, looking for Jake. That will be a kill picked up by FBI. Reset will be there, as you mentioned. Does get ultimate. Does Buster shot him away. That just takes him underneath the turret. That's going to be Spooked. Hextech ultimatum onto Blinky. Will fall down, however, trades his life for the AD carry. That has to be worthwhile. Frey gets stunned up, gets absolutely demolished, and this is Order with 4 picks, can now go towards Baron.
Nice
Massive wall. All of a sudden, they're just fishing a barrel. Jake will fall down onto the tanky Scion. Pabu just does not last at all. Only does get flicked, and now he's just getting pincered. Will get eaten, and Jake falls down as well to a red buff ticking. You can see Blinky, one hit will actually fall so incredibly low. Rogue is like, stop diving the Nexus. And you can see right now, Order just going to focus out the Nexus. If AV do not come forward, they will just take game number 1.